our revels now are ended, and these, our actors, as I foretold you, are spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped mountains, the solemn temples, the glorious palaces, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherits shall dissolve.
Those scat-covered snowflakes are caught in the shitstorm!
I found a cure for opioid addiction. What I didn't realize is that the opioid addiction is a $50 billion industry, enriching the elites. There I was, my life's work stolen from me, betrayed by my own sister, shunned from society. All these years I've been planning my revenge against Avon Bard and all the world. I had Ariel infiltrate their boat and using gallons of whale laxative, lure them to their doom.
How beauteous mankind is, O brave new world that has such people in.
Tis I, reckoning. Time's up and welcome to your final reckoning.
We are such stuff as dreams are made of, and our little life is rounded with a sleep.
Opinions, viewpoints, and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
Opening is longer than I remember.
Well, tough taters, Brandon. It's same music I always use. Welcome everybody to Scarefest Television. I'm your host for the evening, Wes Forsythe. We have a special evening tonight. We're already having fun behind the scenes. It's gonna be a good show, Tater. It's gonna be a good show. Our guest tonight is, of course, the legendary filmmaker, Mr. Lloyd Kaufman, who for some reason I layered his name on top of our logo, and it's gonna look like shit all night. But that's the thing about doing this shit live. Anyway, then of course my co-host tonight is the talented co-owner of Scarefest, Mr. Brandon Griffith, and everybody, we do have three celebrity announcements to drop at the 30-minute mark of the program. And so we're just going to get right into it. Bring on Lloyd. Lloyd, thank you so much for doing the show tonight. I've already had a great time talking to you. Everybody, this...
And we've already been invited to Manhattan.
Yeah, we've done it.
Yeah, and we're going to go to the museum and watch hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. You stay in my house with the, we got rooms, we kicked out our kids. So we got plenty of bedrooms right here in very Upper East Side Manhattan. And my wife will cook a Blue Apron cooking for you, a special gourmet subscription, Blue Apron, a very good, you should buy this stuff, my son-in-law. Anyway, I hope you will come and see the museum.
You know,
Even the movie Image.
I want to point out that would have been it's a beautiful invitation, and I probably would have jumped at it 1 year ago. But in the meantime, Brandon has decided to send me on the road to every fucking Paracon and HorrorCon in the United States of America between now and Scarefest. And I got a day job, you know. What can I tell you?
Brandon is very jealous.
And I've got my buddy in Long Island that sells solar panels that I'm itching to see, and I can add Lloyd Kaufman onto the list.
There you go.
So I am all on.
Brandon will stay in our house. My wife will cook for Blue Apron, which is a wonderful subscription food service. And we'll have a great week. And then we'll all go to the Village Cinema starting on April 8th. And then for a week, and maybe more, we can see hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm in a beautiful Greenwich Village Theater. And if we don't like that, then we can go to Brooklyn and see hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm at the world famous Film Noir Cinema in Brooklyn. Brooklyn is very chic now. It's become the new Manhattan.
Now, I do want to remind our viewers to pay close attention. That is the weekend of April, around April 8th and forward. If you're in the New York area, because we do have people come down here, and I'm willing to bet we have people watching right now, hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, basically a Lloyd's own adaptation of Shakespeare's Tempest. Now, first of all, this is something Brandon pointed out to me before the show. Not to say the name of the movie without the hashtag. Now, I'm just curious what was the impetus behind using hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm versus the non-hashtag?
Well, other than lots of sex and violence, which I enjoy, Shakespeare had two themes that he wanted to push in The Tempest. One was a kind of anti-big pharma. You know, they got hundreds of thousands of Americans are dying. I'm not talking about COVID. I'm talking about opioids, legal drugs that the United States government permitted its citizens to take, and hundreds of thousands of its citizens are dead. So that the big pharma abuse of opioids. And the other theme is sorry, I don't mean to say assholes. The unfortunate development that so much of social media has devolved into this cancellation society and the hashtag Me Too shit and Rose McGowan.
There you go.
The other one.
Well, the Tempest. So the Tempest had like undertones too, though, like from what I recall, of like forgiveness in the end. So like there's a feeling of forgiveness at the end of the Tempest, because he could have done a lot of things that he didn't do.
Wow, you are quite a philosopher, Brandon. I didn't know that. I knew that Wes was a god, but
I don't know about that. But I thought maybe like the Tempest, like, you know, the storm that's coming, like the storm that sets it all off, like, you know, this is the social media aspect was where I was coming from, because social media is like its own devil now, I guess, to an extent.
Shitstorm.
Yeah,
right.
I mean, we got it. Our fan group, got in trouble today for sharing a meme based on Ed Gein, the serial killer from 1930, something like that. I mean, you know, that's where, yeah. So the whole cancel culture, you got to try running. I mean, I'm sure running a movie studio that uses things like hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm has its own limits, which I saw. Okay, now here I'll jump ahead a little bit in my notes. I understand you've even had a fight with YouTube.
Yeah, they for some reason they canceled our channel, which was free. I can't, some kind of bullshit. But our fans got really angry, and YouTube put the channel back on. But we have migrated all our movies, the feature-length movies and documentaries and other trauma things, to Trauma Now, which we set up about 5 years ago. It's the hot new, well, it's 5 years old, platform for about 1,000 movies, independent videos, my make your own damn movie lessons. We got music videos that we've made. There's thousands of things to look at on Trauma Now, and you can go there, trauma-now.com, and get this: the first month, absolutely free. A whole month, you can see everything in the month, and then you don't have to pay for it. But
yeah, I was way behind. I was way behind the curve on that. I was searching for more of your movies to watch. I mean, I've seen Toxic Avenger, Return to Nukem High 2. I've seen several of the movies. I remember some from the drive-in. In other words, I remember they were in the drive-in theater, but honestly, I don't think I actually watched them because that was when I was young.
Come on, Wes, you've had to see Squeeze Play at some point.
Yes, that's the first one to put Trauma on my radar. I remember going to the drive-in to see Squeeze Play, and I hate to admit it, I don't even remember the scenes that were in the preview that I watched.
Showtime at night was the first time I watched Squeeze Play, and I will never forget it.
But
Squeeze Play, we made Squeeze Play as a piece concerning the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment and women's liberation, which at the time were kind of a big deal. And of course, ERA, Equal Rights Amendment, still hasn't been passed.
Yeah, that was
Squeeze Play is hilarious. It came out ahead of Porky's. It was early in that kind of raunchy comedy. So we got very lucky that built the Trauma Building in New York. And it's also about baseball. It's a lot of fun. So
was it a league of their own a decade earlier?
1970. What was that, Brandon? 1976 was Squeeze Play.
Squeeze Play came out in
79, wasn't it?
I thought it was 78.
We'll split the difference.
No, look, okay. It wasn't out when I was alive, but I watched it. Okay. Here's the thing you got to take into context. Brandon grew up on a farm that was lucky enough to have satellite with Showtime, and so I'm going to say that it was 78, I think, and I got to it around late 80s.
Let's just scroll down the IMDb here and see what it says. God, it takes forever to scroll through your damned
yeah, what?
That thing.
Yeah, it's a mile long.
Your 400 acting credits.
I'm giving you 50 years, my love.
Anyway, I just want to see. 70. 78. Let's see. 79. 1979.
Okay.
IMDb.
The same year I was born.
That might have been the impetus behind it, for all you know.
It could have been. My father was a secret Trauma fan.
And we were working on abortions in those days, promoting abortion. Your father wanted us to support him in his wanting to legalize abortion when you were in the womb, but unfortunately it didn't happen.
You had a couple of scenes with that, haven't you? That you got, what was it? I think Terra Firmer had something like people were talking about abortions, and then Nukem High, I think, had something that was talking about abortion too.
Citizen Toxie, as one of the themes of Citizen Toxie, is the issue of abortion. It's still right. It's still one of the major themes of American society that we don't give women. We haven't figured out if women should have the right to their own bodies. What we made fun
I
of it.
love
in
you.
2000, and kids, wait a minute, who is that beautiful woman next to Adam? Who is that beautiful woman next to Brandon?
Well,
this would be my wife, Nicole.
An innocent woman in white, an angel. Who is that?
Like an angel.
Yeah, in virginal white garb.
I came from next door. I walked all the way across on rocks to see you. But I have wanted you to be here for 2 years. Your movie actually enlightened my life in sort of bad ways, but in good ways. Many years ago, I was very sad when you weren't able to come last year, so thank you. But I'm very grateful for this interview. I've enjoyed watching it from next door, and thank you.
Thank you. Come on, that's the best. I'm a narcissist, so.
I will feed your ego as much as I possibly can.
No, my wife shared a little known fact with me last year. The first time that she saw boobs that weren't her own were in your movie.
That's not what I said. I said that how I learned what a blowjob was in your movie.
Oh, well, I'm taking boobs.
Okay. No, Toxic Avenger.
That was me. Sorry.
Toxic Avenger taught me what a blowjob
I don't
was.
even remember that scene.
Okay.
Anyway, we're going to take a quick commercial break, everybody. We'll be back with more with Mr. Lloyd Kaufman and his fan club, Nicole Rick.
Everyone is talking about CBD oil, and it seems like almost everyone is using it. The research is ongoing, but the apparent health benefits are overwhelming. If you're going to use CBD products, though, what brand should you buy? First, find out where the hemp was grown. Imports are flooding the market. How potent is it? Look for a brand that plainly states its concentration on the label. And look for full spectrum CBD. This means the oil contains CBD and all the other cannabinoids, terpenes, and nutrients that are found in the entire cannabis plant. Look for Blue Leaf CBD oil. Blue Leaf Naturals is a Kentucky proud company. They use only Kentucky-grown hemp, supporting Kentucky farmers and businesses. Visit their website at blueleafcbd.com now and use the code SMILE at checkout for free shipping.
Welcome back, everybody, to Scarefest TV. Okay, Lloyd, now, you just mentioned 50 years of your life given to us. I'm going to ask this probably a little differently than most people do, although I'm sure you've been asked very, very similar questions.
Oh, shit, is that a clarinet?
That looks like a
This is
clarinet.
a clarinet, and I'm going to give you a little taste of what Uncle Lloyd's been working on. But keep going. What were you saying?
I just want to know, of all your storied career, what do you consider your greatest achievement? Not your favorite movie, your greatest achievement.
Wait,
when I graduated, that's a very good question. When I graduated from Yale University, I aspired to be on the Scarefest TV show.
Oh, of course you did.
You don't see
holy
my
shit,
Jersey.
I am thoroughly impressed.
Woody Allen, right? I'm like a low-class Woody Allen. No, a footnote. Well, thank you for that. Was a little Woody Guthrie for you.
That was amazing. I will never be able to do that in my life.
Well, thank you. You've made a sad old man very happy. In fact, that's a Yamaha clarinet, and Yamaha sent Uncle Lloydie this beautiful sweatshirt and some other things. wooden Yamaha clarinet.
Lloyd, you are sweet and sexy in so many ways. I'm so excited to meet you. I don't fan over anybody, but I cannot wait to meet you. I'm going to send you good food.
If by chance you could come to Philadelphia the weekend of February 24, 25, the Villain Arts Tattoo Festival, Trauma is a guest. And we have a booth and have a good time. Come and visit. Are you far from?
So, Lloyd, so one thing I remember, like when I've gone to shows before, one thing that I've always enjoyed is stopping by the Trauma booth. And so, are you bringing the Trauma booth to Lexington this year?
Well, we're gonna be in Philadelphia the weekend of February 24 to 27 or whatever. I'm doing the Angry Video Game Nerds show, and then it's the Tattoo Festival, and we'll have a booth there, and we'd love to see you.
Yeah, but in Lexington, when you come down in October, like to our show, like what we want is like the full Trauma booth, and we want to be able to show hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm in a full-on out theater. Are we gonna be able to do that?
Yeah, you bet. We're gonna have Toxie, and we're gonna have a good time. We'll have a great time. And thank you again. Thank you very much for inviting Uncle Lloydie.
Oh, we're happy to have you. Have you ever been to Kentucky before?
Been to where?
Kentucky.
Yeah, of course. I've been to Louisville a couple of times, but I don't think I've been to. Wait a minute. I remember at one point we went to a video distributor in, I think it was Kentucky. Wow, what was his name? Anyway, I can't remember where they were, but they.
This is your first time at Scarefest. You've never been to a Scarefest before, and so we're bringing you into Lexington. We're gonna be doing a movie premiere. We're gonna be having your booth. We're gonna have you set up. Like, I'm super excited about it, and a lot of folks are very, very excited to have you down here. And so last year we had Mark Torkel that was down here. And Mark had a great weekend. We had a great time with him, and I think this year we're looking to roll out the Trauma red carpet. Like
brown carpet.
The brown carpet. Just like, by the way, the hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm trailer that I watched was probably one of the best that I've seen in a while. Where the play on The Shining.
Really?
I loved it. I thought it was hilarious.
Great. That's better than getting an Oscar, because it's real. What you're saying is real. The Oscar's bullshit. I mean, seriously, I've seen it. The thing with the dog. What is it? The love of the dog. That thing by James Champion. Holy shit, that was garbage. I'm sorry. But your thing is real love. It's not just money.
No, it's all about fans, and I can tell you right now, like, this was something I've always been curious about. So I grew up on a farm in the middle of eastern Kentucky, Appalachia, and you're all the way up in New York making movies, doing stuff, and like me and my friends, like the whole lot of us, like getting Trauma movies, watching Toxie, watching all these things that you've done over the years, to a bunch of, pardon my French, rednecks in Kentucky. Like, and we're not rednecks, but yeah, hillbillies. Like, I grew up on a farm in the absolute middle of nowhere, loving Trauma movies. Like, did you ever think it was going to get to that point? Like, do you ever think about, like, all of us, like, in the outskirts here that you've impacted?
That's a good question. honestly, because I am a narcissist, I think every film that Michael Hers, my partner of 50 years, and I have made is terrific. I mean, it takes me about 5 years to make a movie. I mean, hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, there's 5 years of my life that's pretty much devoted to that film. And I think it's great. But my wife says that I blew it. She says I fucked that up. But nonetheless, I think it's great. And so if
And Lloyd, I tell him he fucks you up every day. Every day. I tell him he fucks stuff up every day. You did a great film.
Yeah. I'll tell you this. I remember my first beer. I remember the first time that I had sex. I remember my first trauma movie. And those are things that are ingrained in my brain. And so like the first time I'll put it this way. Brandon's prepubescent self loves you and thanks you for everything you've done for me. And then Brandon's adult self loves everything that you did in the latter half. So like everything from 95 before, prepubescent, everything 95 after, adult Brandon. But I'm gonna tell you right now, the first time that I like Squeeze Play, all that shit before like Porky's and stuff hit mainstream, like you can sit down and I think everybody would understand this. You can sit down and watch 5 seconds and you know it's a trauma movie. And it's just beautiful. Like I am so excited about hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm. And I'm curious to see like what's your social commentary on that? Like what is it delivering?
I haven't I've not recorded a commentary track yet, but we've got a wonderful behind the scenes hour-and-a-half documentary, which we're editing now and looks hilarious and also very educational. Brown is the warmest color, the name of the documentary. And I will do a commentary track, and hopefully we'll have the actors do a commentary track. But right now we're concentrating on the big New York opening, and then hopefully we'll get a theater that may be Scarefest will present the movie stars in the theater, the hashtag Shakespeare Shitstorm, and I'll come there. And I'll bring the commissioner, my wife.
You've been there for 2 years. Fun.
We'll come down there with Toxie and we'll do a Q&A. You guys will curate it and we'll have a big deal.
We've got a theater cleared out for you right now.
I cleared one for 2 years for you. The only holdback was you couldn't come. So I cleared it for 2 years for you. That theater is ready.
Yeah, I can already tell that I'm going to get blamed for being over budget on the theater. I just know it. He's already scheduled a 15. Ever guess he scheduled a 15-minute one theater for a 15-minute short. Lloyd, the man loves movies. What can I tell you? We're going to go ahead. Let's hop into our second commercial break. We'll be back on schedule. We'll be back in about a minute, everybody, and we have announcements now.
Spirit Mechanics is here to help. Their background includes many different specialties across the metaphysical spectrum, including alchemy, shamanism, Celtic witchcraft, angelic magic, astral travel, and more.
With over 30 years combined experience in the group, you can be confident in their ability to help. If there is a question you have that you cannot answer, they will do their best to assist you.
Metaphysics can be intimidating, confusing, and unfortunately, abused. Spirit Mechanics takes pride in being selfless in the pursuit of helping others, being humble and honest with their clients about their questions, and lastly, maintaining a professional and personable atmosphere. They want you to feel as you are coming to a close friend, and they will do everything in their power to make you comfortable and safe.
Okay.
That's your cue.
Oh, no, sorry. Yeah, okay. totally off my kilt there. So this week's first announcement is Mr. Kevin O'Brien. You may remember him as Loco from Friday the 13th Part 3. Also, a little known fact, he was in Warlock, across from Julian Sands. Also, the only man to die with a pitchfork and cigarette in mouth that never failed. So this brings it up to 4, and we are working on more for our Friday the 13th Part 3 40th year reunion.
And the return of R.A. Mihailoff. Notice I said his name right, everybody. I tend to butcher his name. It's Mihailoff, as he likes to point out to me.
Yeah, and screw it. I'm not even going to mention the other movies. I'm only going to talk about License to Drive on this one because that's where I'm at right now. So 2 things we need to make mention of is that a lot of people forget that R.A. was the tow truck driver in License to Drive, and I've brought it up painstakingly over the years. $50. I want us all to remember that line. And R.A. has promised me to do a photo op in true License to Drive garb, which I'm holding him to that this year, and by God, it will happen.
Is that the picture?
So the picture of him in the tow truck is in the upper left.
I actually think if you're going to do a photo op, you actually need somebody to do a set piece too.
Well, I'm working on that because I understand that he's driven with deers, all kinds of shit tied to the front of that truck, and there's no 50 pounds of fly shit that's going to keep him from going forward. So we have to recreate that. Now, I don't know if you guys, R.A. did that in costume photo op last year with the saw
I remember
from Leatherface, and I am trying my damnedest to make sure we can do that again. But R.A., fan favorite, one of my favorite guys, rides up on a Harley, is always a good time.
And next up, we're excited to bring back Felissa Rose, another fan favorite of the Scarefest.
Right, so our guys, like every year, there's a few folks that we just invite back. Like they come back every year. You've got like Kane Hodder, who's been there every year for like, what, 13?
And we're still cleaning up his line from last year.
Yeah,
yes,
true.
That's true.
We had, so
Melissa had the best photo ops last year. I mean, she was tearing it up. But they didn't even get in them. Like people wanted them, didn't get them.
And just like I can say that Lloyd is probably one of the hardest working men in film. I think Felissa is one of the hardest working women in film, and she has done a lot of stuff. Her IMDb page goes for days.
And I'll tell you, it goes very far when you're really good to fans. And I hear a rumor that Lloyd is way too good to fans in his lineup, like when he goes to shows. And Felissa kind of does that. They're both in that field of really giving the fans something, even when they don't have anything to like give back. So they're both in that realm.
And I think that the parts that she's taking just get better and better.
That's better than an Oscar. What you have said is you can't buy that. That's the world, right? Right? Harvey Weinstein could buy Oscars. He bought them from advertising. That's what you have said.
Okay.
There's a lot of people I haven't met you yet, Lloyd, but that are very honest and good and wonderful to fans. And by your representation that talk for you, they said that you are the same. So I hope that is the case, and I'm looking forward to meeting you. But Felissa is a great gal. She's a good screen queen.
Oh, she's terrific. She's so nice to Troma. I wish I could make a movie with her.
Well, you've made a movie with just about everybody else, though, haven't you? Like I actually I went through and looked back, and I honestly I hadn't realized it. Like you are so ingrained. Like you've got your hands in just about James Gunn, Kevin Costner, I mean, oh my God, I think you guys are even doing like distribution for like one of Ed Asner's movies. Like when you pop your name up, it goes for miles on people you've helped. It's like, in your, like, out of everybody that you've worked with, like, who is, does Trauma have like an all-star league?
Have a what?
Like an all-star league. Like your folks that like you've worked with that like you've just made a bunch of movies with that are like your I don't know,
core,
like your core like trauma group, like people that you've worked with that have just done a lot of like awesome stuff. That comes to mind.
I got invited to Scarefest. Come on.
But you work with like James Gunn, like Kevin Costner, like who's some of the biggest ones that you?
Those people who started with Trauma. You got Trey. Hey, look, I'm wearing the South Park hat here. Trey and Matt started with Trauma, Cannibal the Musical. And if you want to see it, Cannibal the Musical is better, in my opinion, and riskier than Book of Mormon. And Book of Mormon is terrific. Check out Cannibal the Musical, Trey and Matt's first movie before South Park. It's on Trauma Now, the hot new, not new, 5-year-old movie channel. Trauma Now. First month is free, and you can see Cannibal the Musical.
Yeah, and it's only $5 a month after that. And I am a happy subscriber. It's only $5 a month after that, and I am a happy subscriber.
Yeah, actually, most, I'd say about, from what we gather, over 90% of the people who take the free month, they stay with us. I mean, the movies are great, and they're exclusive. Most of them you don't get, you're not going to get Fatty Drives the Bus on the Netflix.
Oh no, the guys that are watching this, dump your Netflix shit right now. Like, just drop it. Drop your Netflix. You don't need it. Go to Trauma Now.
Actually, Netflix has some good stuff. Amazon, and by the way, Amazon owes Trauma. We can hardly pay the friggin' payroll. They owe us about $6,000. We can't get a human being. Can somebody help us? Maybe you guys have Jeff Bezos' phone number.
I wish.
Well, Lloyd, I'll tell you that at a young age, I saw Toxie. I saw it about 20 times in a row because it was on VHS. And my mom, it was a guy with a flag, and I could talk her into renting that video without knowing what I was getting. And I watched it over and over.
Well, apparently it's how she learned about blowjobs. So
well, it's also
she's told every radioist on the Eastern Seaboard that.
Obviously, I owe you an infinite amount of thank yous.
Well, not really, because I decided when I was married that wasn't necessary. But anyway, it was such an amazing film. And when I got to bring Mark last year, I was really hoping he would be there too. And it was so much fun to celebrate one of the first movies that really introduced me to this whole life I'm in now. I mean, that was only 30 years ago, but that was really one of the first. And it was on VHS, and it was there on the shelf at Blockbuster or the local movie store. I live in Winchester, Kentucky. We didn't have a Blockbuster. It was probably like a Kroger with a section. But, I got that movie, and it was just, it really, me and my friends, it made a change in our life, and it was fun. It was really fun. I appreciate it.
So she loves the movie, but what can you tell us about the remake? Are you in that?
Well, first of all, how nice that Toxie, how it's been 35 years. That's great that people are touched by Toxie. And I think we got it right. I think we, as incompetent as we are, the commissioner, my wife and I saw it recently on a big screen. Toxic Avenger is a damn good movie. We got it. We did it right, and Michael Hurst is in large part the reason. Anyway, what was your question? Sorry.
Are you making okay? So the reboot for Toxic with an actual like budget of like
And it's
probably
a Broadway show.
yeah, probably millions of dollars. So like, are you doing a cameo? And is there anything you can throw out to us about the remake that's coming out?
Well, the $1 reimagining. I've read the script and given notes, and the script is better than the original Toxic Avenger. The script by Macon Blair, much better than the original Toxic. The film has been shot, as starring Peter Dinklage. By the way, Cyrano opens, I think, now. And my wife and I saw that. My wife is on the board of the Hampton Film Festival, and we saw Cyrano there not long ago, and it's opening, I think, this week or next week. And Peter plays the main part in Cyrano. Terrific film. But anyway, I went to Bulgaria where the movie was shot, and Macon Blair had a wonderful group of Kevin Bacon and Taylor Page and Elijah Wood and a bunch of other famous people. And it was great. The crew, the legendary, everybody really was really very nice. You know, it wasn't a cold kind of Hollywood atmosphere. And of course, we were in the beautiful Bulgaria, where they don't believe in that. I think
do you have like just like you've had more cameos than like Stan Lee probably. So like do you have a cameo in the new Toxic?
Stan Lee, Stan was my mentor. He and I were buddies for a long time. No, I'm a footnote. Roger Corman were, I think, my two, and John G. Avildsen, with whom I worked on Rocky.
Oh yeah.
Probably three gods of my oeuvre.
What you can? I think I don't know. I think you're very modest. Like you said you were a narcissist, but I've always you seem modest to me in the fact that like you've accomplished as much as Stan Lee, I think. In my mind.
No. Stan Lee was a giant, and the thing is, like I learned a lot from Stan Lee because when I got out of Yale, one of the few things I learned at Yale, aside from drugs and Chinese studies, was Marvel comics, because the guy next door had a collection of Marvel comics, and I was like, wow, it's beautiful. And the minute I graduated, I contacted Stan, and I think he saw my resume at Yale, and he let me meet with him, and I wrote a script, and which got bought, and he and I were friends for 50 years. And Stan Lee is in about Troma movies. Really.
What did Stan think about Troma movies?
That is really interesting, because his big thing, and so was John G. Avildsen, the director of Rocky. They said I should try to be more mainstream, and not really that. Yeah, I just not in my DNA. But I think Stan's favorite Troma movie was not Toxic Avenger, although he liked Toxic, and Stan got us the Marvel comic book deal. But he liked Sergeant Kabuki Man, NYPD.
Oh, okay. That's cool.
Movie.
What was it that he liked about that? Just out of curiosity, like what was it drew him to that? Did he say?
Chris, I never really discussed it with him. But his basic message to me was, why do you have to have all this graphic, explicit, shocking stuff. Make it a little more acceptable to people. And hey, he's correct. My wife says the same thing. So do Galveston and others. But you only go around once.
Well, you got to admit though, Lloyd. Like, hey, Lloyd, come on now. You got to admit to some people, you are their Stan Lee. Like whether you may not see it or not, but like
I think that's
there's a diatribe. There's people that go down through two paths. You have your comic book nerds, and you have like I think people that span off into what you do, like the trauma films and like Toxie and like everything that you've done, which there's a whole subculture out there of people like, I mean, I grew up on a farm for Christ's sake, and I knew who you were. And there's a whole bunch of people that fall in that category. I think I would put you right up there with Stan Lee in my mind, personally. Don't mean to like, not
honor for me. By the way, Brandon, have you seen the first Turn On, the movie we turned down Madonna, but Vincent D'Onofrio's first?
Oh, I heard about that. I haven't seen it. I heard about that though. Like you guys actually shot her down?
I filmed on a farm there, so you might enjoy part of one of the best scenes in the movie. It's filmed on a farm. The first Turn On, filming now. I think it's the funniest.
I think I heard
also,
Go ahead.
Go on.
Did Madonna show up in like a costume or something like to get the part? And like,
no, Madonna was begging to be in the movie. She made her own costume.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And my stupid partner didn't like her look, so he turned her down. I was at the can.
Madonna?
Yeah.
Oh Lord.
Given no matter what, I would have given her something. But what is Michael Harris being an idiot?
What?
And he picked a woman who couldn't act. Well, I shouldn't say that.
Yeah. Okay. What is your and Michael's?
Didn't come close to Madonna. Let's put it that way.
Well,
if you want to see it, Cherry magazine. She had some good above the fold pieces in Cherry magazine.
So you and Michael have been in like working together for a long time, right? Like, what is this? Like 50 years?
Yeah.
What is that relationship like, if you don't mind me asking? Like, you guys have been together for a long time. Is it like two grumpy guys, or you guys like?
Well, we are definitely two grumpy guys. But, mentioned, I am a narcissist. Michael does not. Michael is a confident person. He doesn't need the publicity to validate his existence. He's better looking. He's funny as fuck. He's seen every movie you ever imagined, but he doesn't really want to deal with the public. So that's my job.
Has he ever gone out and done anything?
Huh?
Like you've gone out, like you're the face. You are the face of trauma. Like, does he ever go out and do anything? Like,
he did it once we became sort of solvent and successful. He dropped out. He didn't want to do anymore. He doesn't like doing it. But he's sharp. He's funny. He's better looking. He didn't want to keep. He stopped directing. The first Turn On, I think, was his last film. And no, we did Toxic Avengers again. So he didn't want to get up at 4 a.m. and have to figure out where to put the porta potties. So he's mainly our CEO, and he doesn't like publicity. And for me, it's catnip.
But you guys have worked together for like what, 50 years? Like that's 3 times a domestic partnership. So like how do you guys do it? Like do you just get along that well, or like do you separate personal from business?
Sleep in different rooms.
Never had a written contract, and he's a great guy, and I'm a good guy, and he's he's let me. He's kind of grew up and stopped directing movies and let me go off on the deep end, and he's made a successful company. And you would think that one of these devil-worshipping international media conglomerates would would take Michael and have Michael run a studio. We make movies like Terra Firma and #Shakespeare Shitstorm, and he's making a success of it. Imagine if he was running Sony Classics or Fox Searchlight or something like that. He'd make 10 times what they're making.
Well, I think we're all very lucky that he hasn't, and we're all very lucky that you guys have worked together for so long.
Anyway, he's a great guy, a very good guy. And I'm a decent guy. I'm just a little nuts. Well, actually, Michael Hurst is pretty crazy. But we're both decent, honest people. And that's the problem with the movie industry, because that's the opposite of the movie industry, as I'm sure you guys have gotten a little whiff of that.
Yeah, no, we have. I understand what you mean. Like, and you guys have created like a East Coast monopoly. Like, did you just look at Hollywood and say, fuck you?
Well, the whole idea originally was to make independent movies, to stay in New York, to try to keep a somewhat independent mind frame. But we painted ourselves into a corner. We have our own Troma Now platform for movies. Troma Now TV show. We've got our Blu-rays and DVD. We're doing everything ourselves. So, we kind of painted ourselves into a corner. And we're hoping that the Toxic Avenger, legendary $1 billion movie, written and directed by Macon Blair, who is, in my opinion, a courageous and genius and a lover of films. Maybe that'll, help us move up the food chain a little bit.
Yeah, I think you guys are. Hey, you guys are good. You guys are up there on the food chain, whether you admit it or not. Like, I know you say you're a narcissist, but I still think, I get the feeling you're a pretty modest guy on everything you've done.
Well, you're a very nice guy. You're a very nice guy. The truth is, in all honesty, whatever I've done, all Troma, Michael Hurst, Lloyd Kaufman, hundreds of movies, 7 books, Toxic Avenger musical on Broadway in the West End of London. I can go on for an hour and tell you what. Yet, there's no encouragement from the so-called mainstream. You know what I mean?
No, but you guys made it work. You guys made it work outside the mainstream. I mean, for Christ's sake, I had a Toxic Avenger doll, like the action figure, when I was a kid. Like, I bought that in a store when I was a kid. You guys made it mainstream, and you made something. Like,
well,
he's saying we have not done that with any of our ideas. We can not wait.
No,
I was
I'm
so
saying
disappointed in not meeting you last year.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's amazing what you guys have accomplished to work against the system and to be a production company and a distribution company that works with the fans directly. Like, it's admirable. And I think that, I have a lot of respect for what you guys do there.
Well, and thank you. And clearly, thanks to Scarefest and our fans. Troma is fan fueled. People think we're a much bigger company than we are. We only have 8 paid employees, and a few observers. But it's the fans. It's all about the fans, like you. Really, we're totally fan fueled. And,
I love that so much.
John helps us out. Eli Roth, Trey Parker used to help us out. Some of those guys actually help us. So, we're kind of staggering along.
When you Google Troma, like Kevin Costner pops up too. Just FYI.
Well, everyone, we're at the top of the hour. It's time to end the episode. Lloyd, I want to thank you so much for being with us tonight. If you want to stick around and chat after the show, you're welcome to do so. Everybody, next week, we have Mark Holton coming on from Leprechaun fame. So come back next Friday night. We will be here. We're going to close out the show with our last commercial break and our movie review from Bonehead Weekly. See you next week.
Our revels now are ended, and these, our actors, as I foretold you, are spirits, and are melted into air, into thin air. And like the baseless fabric of this vision, the cloud-capped mountains, the solemn temples, the glorious palaces, the great globe itself, yea, all which it inherits shall dissolve.
Those scat-covered snowflakes are caught in the shitstorm!
I found a cure for opioid addiction. What I didn't realize is that the opioid addiction is a $50 billion industry, enriching the elites. There I was, my life's work stolen from me, betrayed by my own sister, shunned from society. All these years I've been planning my revenge against Avon Bard and all the world. I had Ariel infiltrate their boat and using gallons of whale laxative, lure them to their doom.
How beauteous mankind is, O brave new world that has such people in.
Tis I who's beckoning. Time's up and welcome to your final reckoning.
We are such stuff as dreams are made of, and our little life is rounded with a sleep.
Hey, Scarefest, this is Joe Lewis. So this past weekend, I was going to go out with some friends, and I did because it got canceled because everybody and their mother had COVID. Long story short, I had COVID. I didn't get to go, and we got to make it up, and we all wanted to see the new Scream movie, which is great, but I still haven't seen it because, let's call her Nicole, said, Brandon, why don't we just sit here and drink with Joe and just keep talking, or we can go see the movie. And she's the boss, so we both listened and just sat there and had a really good time, but I still haven't seen the new Scream. And I told Brandon I was going to review it because you have a show with Wes, and I was going to review it, and you said I should do this. He didn't say I should do this. And what he told me to do was say, you know what? Just tell him anything after Scream sucks. I kind of agree with him. I actually really like Scream. So let's talk about Scream for a second. Why is Scream important? Wes Craven, directed by Wes Craven, written by Kevin Williams in 1996's Scream. To say it's kind of the first meta or self-aware film is inaccurate. Actually, technically, Wes had already done something quite similar with Wes Craven's New Nightmare, basically the seventh Freddy movie. And he came back to that and wrote and directed that installment, which was highly successful. It's very self-aware. The characters are themselves, like Heather Langenkamp plays Heather Langenkamp. Robert Englund plays Robert Englund. So a lot of these meta talking about talking, all these self-aware things that already been brought up. But why is Scream important? It's important because it's a lot more entertaining than New Nightmare. I know somebody out there is going to get mad at me. I rewatched New Nightmare right at Christmas. I hadn't seen it in a long time. And there's scenes in it I like, but it doesn't quite work. Whereas 1996's Scream works perfectly, like a Swiss watch. That screenplay just goes and goes and goes. And Kevin Williamson, if you guys don't know, wrote it basically over a weekend. It was originally titled Scary Movie, which is what Dimension would later make as the mock films of those, the Scary Movie franchise, which went on to do quite well itself. And then they had a hard time getting Scream made. And they went to every director. Romero even turned them down. Wes Craven had turned them down a couple of times. Finally went with Wes. And I think it was the lightning in the bottle. Not only did they have this young cast filled with television folks, they also had a man kind of reinventing himself. He had done New Nightmare. He did Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy, which was an overly good, it's not an overly good film. It's got some good scenes in it, but it wasn't a big success. It's kind of a comedy horror hybrid that doesn't quite work. And the man reinvented himself with Scream. He had a whole new career. He got to do Scream 2, which I barely remember. And then Scream 3, which is damn near unwatchable. And actually the Scream 4 he did before he died, not terrible. I love that opening of the several different layers, but it's never Scream. And the thing is that it was a movie for self-aware audience of the 90s. I'm 96, not trying to date myself, but that's when I was still in high school and I saw it. And there wasn't anything quite like it. It was so fresh. It was so new. It's kind of like trying to explain to someone what it was like to see The Matrix in 1999. So many other films, so many other things have ripped this off. It's hard to explain. So should you go see 2022's Scream? I don't know. The guys that made a movie that I've talked about on here before, Ready or Not, which I think is one of the best horror films I'd seen. I still say it in the last 2 to 3 years. It's so smart and well written. If you've not seen that, go out and check it out. I do want to see the new Scream. I will see the new Scream, and I promise I'll try to check it out. But do yourself a favor. If you have never seen Scream, try to remember what it was like, or try to put yourself in the mind frame. And there wasn't just anything like it at the time. There was nothing quite that self-aware. It wasn't the first, but it set the mold for a bunch of movies of just slasher film after slasher film. For the urban legends ripped it off. I Know What You Did Last Summer. We were just inundated with these one after another after another. Some of them good, most of them bad. You can thank Scream for all that. This has been Joe Lewis. I blame Nicole Griffith for me not having a review of 2022's Scream.
Come visit the Universal Energy Expo May 7th and 8th at the Northern Kentucky Convention Center. Meet special guests, TikTok celebrity Madam Adam, published author Patty Wigington, psychic mediums the Connor sisters, and paranormal investigator Spirit Mechanics. Over 100 readers, healers, and vendors. Admission also includes door prizes and all workshops. The Universal Energy Expo. Come curious, leave enlightened.